Brian Burrows, the owner of Ironwood Axe Throwing, says that they came to Denton because people here are willing to try something a little bit more unique. She also has some advice on people that are looking into starting gardens is consider what you're planting it in. One plant people normally, dig up could be used for something like this. Hey, and welcome to our first episode here of the Denton Traveler here at the wonderful Denton Welcome Center. Every Saturday in the spring, you can find local farmers and artisans just off the square at the Denton Community Market. Going forward, the market has increased some of the fees for food vendors. The annual rates increased from $240 to $324. The new director gave some insight on why it went up.
From my understanding in speaking with the Denton Development Services and the City Council, it wasn't something that was intended to directly impact us. It was just a rollout with several other fees.
This impacts small business food vendors who could see a small strain on their business. But James Combs of Combs Coffee, who is a member of the board, sees it as a part of the cost of doing business.
So I think as long as they're smart and make sure that they, price their goods accordingly, it shouldn't affect them too much.
Though the costs are increasing due to the requirements from the city, he also feels that the community market brings value to vendors in other ways.
But in the grand scheme of things, for that kind of retail traffic, I think it's definitely worth it.
The market is set to open this year on April 4th. Charles Burkett, NTTV News.
I'm Ben, easily. I own the Bearded Monk. I drink around town, go see art shows and concerts. Like the evolution of a brewer, still quite a few of them do come out of the homebrew world.
My name is Eric Hilliard. I am one of the brewers here at Denton County Brewing Company, a small little local mom-pop brewery in Denton, Texas. And kind of my backstory about this is I started home brewing 4 years ago. First thing I ever brewed was a terrible Pilsner out of a Mr. Beer kit I bought from Kohl's because it was on sale, and I was like, this seems like an interesting little thing to do. Brewing to me it's painting with flavors.
This was his hobby, which I don't do nearly enough. I've tried to get back into it over the last year or so. I used to do it a lot when the kids were little because they would go to bed at 8, and then as I said, I would do a shorter version of this, so I'd buy liquid malt, so I could be done in 4 hours, so I could be done at 1 in the morning and manage to fit it into my schedule. Now that I've gotten more ambitious, it's a little bit more involved.
My brother-in-law helped me out that day, and they just never tell you to sanitize everything, so the beer was horrible, but it's like, you created it with your own hands. It's my beer. I made this.
Yeah, I have 2 sons. They've helped me brew at various stages. My wife is tolerant, and she allowed me the kitchen for the evening. So the deal we make is that I get to do this once every month or 2.
The beer community and the brewing community it's a family. We all look out for each other. We're all in the same boat. All right, these guys are doing this beer. I'm inspired by that. I'm gonna make my own little rendition, and I'm gonna bring them in on the collaboration.
Oh, it's an amazing community. They all hang out at each other's breweries. They'll recommend each other's beers at bars to customers. It's super strong, supportive, loving community.
It's not about making the best beer. It's not about selling the most beer or having the biggest wallet. It's about helping your neighbor and helping your brother. We're all family. We're all up in the same battle. And hell, might as well just have a beer together while we're doing it all.
Here in Denton, I came out to see how one local group is combating hunger during these changing times. Love Packs Denton has been supplying families in need throughout Denton Independent School District since 2018. That started with 3 schools and has tripled since then.
It started out as 3, and then it quickly became 5, and now it's 9. So, so we serve about 9 schools right now. Obviously, our long-term goal would be to serve every school that needs our help.
Businesses, like the Bearded Monk, have drop-off locations that you can donate items where they're picked up. Normally, volunteers will pack the food, pass them to the schools where the counselors get them to the families in need. Since the COVID-19 outbreak, those processes have changed.
Drive-up situation with no contact. We've got some signs that we hold up to communicate with people, and then they can roll their window down and talk to us from a distance.
One worker remembers when she was younger how her family struggled to keep food on the table.
I can look back now and say, oh, we only had a certain number of gallons that we could buy of milk every week, and we only had we had a set schedule of when we ate things because, she was working around sales. I don't want somebody to have to do that with their kids, and I want them to just not have that worry on their plate. There's a lot of other things going on.
Once the COVID-19 break is over, she hopes that there's one thing people will remember.
I want people to realize just how valuable, how many resources schools give to our kids and their families in need.
The organizers are hoping this will inspire people to give and think of others locally. Love Packs Denton is accepting donations. You can go to a drop-off location like here or around the city. You can find those locations on their website or on their Facebook site. I'm Charles Burkett, NTTV News.
People are exhausted. They are tired of working 50 or 60
Bernie
hours
Sanders,
a
in a
week.
2016 debate, identified himself as a democratic socialist and is going against the norm in Washington.
And so somebody like Bernie Sanders, in a lot of people's eyes, is seen as outside of the political establishment and not, in that political bureaucracy, you could call it.
Even though his political career has spanned 39 years, starting as mayor of Burlington, Vermont in 1981. Based on a poll by MorningConsult.com, as of March 30th, 2020, Sanders was leading the millennial vote at 59%. With that same poll data, Sanders is behind with overall Democratic voters at 36%, with Biden at 61%.
What is not radical is canceling all student debt in America.
Currently, Sanders is campaigning for a College for All Act, which will provide at least $48 billion to eliminate tuition and fees at public colleges and universities.
I feel like, in my opinion, people younger than me, their main pushes are access to education and Medicare for all, because we can't afford these things.
I spoke with one campaign worker. She says that there are other reasons millennials are gravitating to the Sanders campaign.
I don't think that's the only reason, only because that reason itself encompasses all these other policies. If you look at the organizations that are backing him in Arizona, they're migration groups. They're groups of Latino kids whose parents have been harassed and sought after by ICE.
We cannot continue to have a president who is a racist, a sexist, a homophobe, a xenophobe.
Current numbers are showing that Bernie Sanders will not secure the Democratic nomination for a second time.